Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Web Design Week 4. If this is your first time of accessing this video, this is a course taught on Kuulchat.com. So you can visit Kuulchat.com to get a course content. On Kuulchat.com, under Courses, Information Technology, you can always see courses on the front page, especially the courses. So if at the moment you are accessing the video, web is there. It's among the list of popular courses, then you can just click on it. So web design. Okay, so that's web design. So we're on week 4 and week 3, giving an assignment to do to design. When we learned the fixed positions, and we learned about the fixed position, we were given an assignment to design a page which has the fixed positions like the U2. Just like the left-hand side is fixed and the top is also fixed. We're supposed to design a page like that. So in this tutorial, before we start week 4, I'm going to design it, but the page is not the page will not be on the site, so you can just use the video to compare with what you've done so far. So I'm only going to use it to teach you how you can do that. But if I put it on the website, I'll not be encouraging people to be doing their own personal project. But in order for compare with what you've done so far, I'm going to do it in this video tutorial. So you can get started. So as you already know, we start with our HTML. So HTML, then we close our HTML. Okay, so I'm going to save this file as index.html. Okay, so I'll save it here. Before index.html. Okay, so we have the head, close it. Then we are going to put all our styling line. So if you want to use external style sheet, then you can just type your CSS in it. Then we have our body. Okay, so as you can see, we have left side, then we have our top side. Okay, so we can make the left side seems like it started from here. So all this one can be part of our top. So we'll call this, then we'll call this one top. Then we'll call this one content. So we will style it. So our left, so we can left. Okay, the set position is supposed to be fixed. So position, say fixed. Okay, now we have to indicate our top, our left. So if you are leaving about, so let's assume from here to here is 70 pixels. Okay, so from here to here, let's assume it's 70 pixels. So we will leave the top margin pixels. But because it's going to start at the left at 0 pixels, so left is going to be 0, and our top is going to be 70 pixels. And from here to here, if we guess it's going to be 20%, so from our left, the width of our this, we are going to make it 20% width. So when it starts from 0, at 20%, it will end. So that side. In order for us to see the effect, we are going to give the background color so you can see where it begins and where it ends. So our top, we said it should be 70 pixels away from the top. Then our left start at the 0 pixels. Then our width, we are giving it 20% width. And in order for us to see it, we are going to give the background color so you know how it is. So let's give it a background color of red. Okay. So we will have it. We will refer to our class. Class is equal to left. Okay. So all our left content, we are going to put our left content in this. So our left content, we are going to put it in this. Okay. So now I'm going to run this page in Mozilla Firefox so you can see how it is. Open Mozilla Firefox. But we've left our bottom. Our bottom is also supposed to be 0 because it's supposed to come to the 0 bottom. So we've left it. So let's run it and see the effect of we don't having the bottom 0. The button starts from here, so we want it to be at the bottom, so it's supposed to be 0. We don't need the right because it's not extending to this place. It will only extend to the width we assign to it. Okay, so let's see how it looks on the page. Okay, so as you can see, we are not seeing it. So let's give up 0 because we didn't give it any height. So if we don't give it a bottom of 0, then nothing will show. So bottom, so from the 0, it's supposed to be 0 pixels. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, from the top, we've left 70 pixels from the top, giving it a width of 20 pixels, 20%, width of 20%, and the bottom of 0. So it's going to start from here. Okay. So now we'll continue with the top. So the top, we are going to give it a yellow color. So the top will start at top 0, left 0, then right also 0. Then we don't need the bottom because it's not going to extend to this place. So we'll give it a height of 70 pixels so that it ends over here. So that will be for the top. So we'll create a class we are going to call top. So in the top, position is also fixed. Our top, like I said, is going to start from the 0 top. Our left is also going to start from 0. Our right is also going to start from 0. We don't need the bottom because it's not going to extend from the bottom, but we need the height. So height is going to be the 70 pixels we left. And we can give it a background of yellow so that you can see the effect. Okay. Now we can call it. Okay, now when we come to designing a responsive website, in a responsive website, we are going to change the positions to so that they will not be fixed. So in order, we have to position our divs. We need to position our divs so that when we remove their fixed position, they will be in order of the way it will be displayed on the mobile device. So on the mobile device, when we remove our fix, we want this one to be the first div that will show. So in that case, we need to write this part of div first before we write our left. because after the top, our menus will be here. So our menus will follow. Then the content will follow. So we need to write our div for our top first, followed by our left, and followed by our content. When we get to designing a responsive website, you understand what I meant, because we will remove all the fixed position from this one and make them display block. So with the display block, they follow in the order in which they appear in the code. So this one needs to appear first, so that in the display block it will appear the top menu, the ones at the top will appear first, followed by the menus we put here, which is the one at the left, then followed by the content. So in that case, we need to write our top first before our left. So we have div class is equal to top. Okay, then we can close it over here. So we'll put the content of our top over here, and the content of our left over here. Then let's refresh it and see. Okay, so as you can see, that is our top, and that is our left. They are all fixed. Now our content, will make it absolute. Absolute is not fixed. So the absolute, it can move. You have a scroll with the absolute. So because the content, we want the content to move. So that one we are not going to make it fixed, but we'll make it absolute, so that we can position it to cover here, here, there, and there, but at the same time be able to scroll, so that when the content grows, there will be a scroll bar here, just like you can see on the YouTube. So on the YouTube, you can see a content over here. Okay, so you see a content over here. Okay, so for the YouTube, so since there is a content, you will see the. Let's put our content. Let's see what happens. So in our content, is going to be absolute. The absolute, we are going to start from. We'll leave the left, the 20%, which is for this one. We'll leave it for from here to here is 20%, and from the top it's 70 pixels. So it's going to have a 70 pixels top, and the absolute is relative to the entire screen. So we don't have any parent need to make it relative, because we want to make it relative to the screen. So the absolute we are going to make for the content is relative to the screen. So in that case, we want to leave this space from here to here. So our left is going to be the 20% we left for the left side, and our top is going to our 70 pixels we left for the top. Then our height is going to be 0, because it's supposed to start over here, and our bottom is also going to be 0. Okay, so we call our content. Content. So the position is absolute. So I believe you know why we are making it absolute. If you ask why we make it absolute, not fixed, you should be able to explain. And then you say the left hand side is going to be 20% away, so that it leaves that space for the left. Then our top is going to be 70 pixels, which we left for the top. 70 pixels, which we left for the top. And the right is going to be 0, because it starts at the 0 part of our right. Then the bottom is also going to be 0, because it goes to the bottom, so there won't be any space at the bottom. Then we give it a background of maybe green, just for you to see the effect. So later on, you just remove the colors and put your contents inside. Okay, so we have to call the class. So our next class will be content. So div class is equal to content. Okay, then we close the div. So the content, our content goes here. Our left side with the menu goes here, and our top goes there. Okay, so let's refresh and see. Okay, so as you can see, so our left content comes here, that of our lesson comes here, and the top comes there. So That's it. So let's say, for example, if I want to add an image into my content. So if I want to put the Kuulchat logo inside, so my RSR is going to be Kuulchat images / logo.png. I'm not going to give it a width. I want it to cover the entire screen. So let's see what we are going to see. Okay, so let me give it a width of 100%. So width of 100%, so it doesn't over. So width is equal to 100%. Okay, so as you can see, there is a scroll. So our content is able to. Okay, now this one is going over that one. So in order for us this one to overlap this one, we have to give this one a Z index. Last week we learned about Z index. So we can give this one a Z index which is higher than this. So we can give by default they have a Z index of so let's see if so we use a debugging to give our top a Z index of, let's start from 1 and let's see what happens. So that our content doesn't go over it. The content should rather go below it when it is scrolling. Okay, so we are going to give our top Z index of 1. Okay, so let's go and see what happens. Okay, so by default it is 0. So if you give anyone more than 1, then 1 and above based on when you're comparing the two. So this one has Z index of 0, this one has Z index of 0. So since we've given this one Z index of 1, it will the lower Z index will go below it. So now this one goes, our content will go below it when we scroll to the top, as you can see. Okay, so we are going to give this one Z index of, so give this one Z index of our top Z index of 1. Okay, so that's it. That was your assignment. So you can have a feel of it. So just like the way the YouTube was. So here the menus will come here. So whatever menu you have here, and the top you can have your logo and other things. And here I just want to show you the Kuulchat logo is bigger so that we get some scrolling so that you can have a feel of it. Okay, so the content you put here, if it scroll, it goes, it overflow your Y, this, and there will be a scroll over here. But if you make it fixed, there won't be any scroll. That's why we make it absolute. So for see is believing, I'm going to change this one from absolute to fixed. Then you see what happens. Normally, when I say something, I want to do it so that you can see, so that you not say I'm just saying it for sake. So I can, you know, the reason why I'm saying it. Most of the things I'm teaching you are things I've acquired from experience. So if I'm saying something, you need to take them seriously. So as you can see, because I make it fixed, the scroll is no longer there. So if you want it to scroll, then you have to write an hover code in order for it to show the scroll. So that's why I normally explain certain things for you so that you can have the feel of it. So if you want to, if you make it fixed, if you want the scroll to show, then you have to write on hover. So I think in the previous week we've seen the on hover CSS before. So there's the true dot the column, then hover, then curly bracket, then you can write your star what should happen when it's being hovered. Okay, so the attribute to use is overflow y. So overflow y, you give it a value of scroll, so that in case it overflow our y in our y coordinates, it will show the scroll bar for it to for the person to scroll. The same thing to this one. If you have a content over there, if you have a content over here and you want it to be scroll to show the scroll when it's being hovered, then you can also write it over there. So let's say, for example, so here and here we are going to put on hover to make it what scroll y in case it overflow, and the same thing with this one. For the top, there is not, since we put the content here, there is no reason why it's going to overflow. So for the left and the right, we are going to make it overflow. If we decide to make here fixed and here fixed, if it's absolute, we don't need it, because automatically for absolute the overflow will automatically give the scroll bar, but for fixed it doesn't. So you have to make sure that on right and on hover CSS, so that when it's being hovered it shows a scroll bar. Okay, so if this one is fixed, okay, and I want to show the scroll bar when it's being hovered, I have to write the class, then on hover, so class column, then hover. Okay, so this is when it's being hovered, what should happen. So this is the attribute to write. So here overflow y. Okay, so overflow y, our value is scroll. Value is scroll. So here, when it's scrolling the y-axis, when it's overflowing the y-axis, when content is being hovered, it will show the scroll bar. So let's refresh this one and let's see. Okay, so I'm going to hover on the content. Okay, so as you can see the scroll bar. Okay, so you can see that it has given the scroll bar for it to be scrolled. So if you make it fixed, then you have to make it on hover. So on hover, you make it scroll, and the y-axis, you make it to scroll. You show the scroll. So here too, if I want, so you see that when the cursor leaves that boundary, the scroll is gone. So if the cursor hovers on it, it comes back. If it leaves there, the scroll is gone. So I'm going to make this one to overflow y to be scrollable, so that in case the content we are going to put there will be more than the size of the height of the screen. So here to left hover. So overflow y. So make it scroll. Okay. So I save it. So that one too, okay. So that one too, as you can see, when we hover it, it shows a scroll. Okay. But sometimes if there's no overflow over here and you are still showing the scroll, it makes it a little bit not so nice. So if you know that the content is not going to overflow, you don't need to write this code. But if you're writing a dynamic page where you don't know how much content is going to go inside, then it's advisable you do the overflow star, so that they will scroll, and that the other things will be hidden at the bottom, which you cannot scroll to that side. Okay, and there's this one. So for the content, it's appropriate for you to make it absolute. So by default, it will be scrolling. Okay, so I'm going to change this one to. So this one in your code, this one is supposed to be there, so that if your menus are going to be more, whenever the person hovers it to show the scroll bar, so that person can scroll to the bottom. But if we make the content absolute div, we don't need it on hover, because automatically there will be the scroll bar when there is a when it overflow. So make this one absolute. So this is just to demonstrate to you the reason why I decided to make the content absolute. So for the absolute, when there is overflow, it will show your listing for you, scroll bar for you. So for the content, make it absolute. But for the fixed ones, you can make them fixed. So for the fixed, if you don't know how much content is going to be inside, and there may be a case where there will be overflow, then you write down on over property so that on overflow it shows the scrolling bar. Okay, so the top over here. So you put the content over here. So if maybe your top, you have your logo over there. So just like we have on YouTube. Okay, so there is a logo and the icon here. So I think that subsequently we will do icons. So some of the icons we can use. So when we are done, we'll talk about these icons. But I'll just put the Kuulchat logo somewhere here. That's for you to see. So whatever comes in the content, then you can put it here. If they will be in inline. Last week we talk about displaying these in inline. So that one to do the same. It's just going to be something like we can have our logo. So we can have maybe ref, so that when the person clicks on it, it goes to the home page. Then we can have our image, which the source is going to be the Kuulchat. Then you can have a width of maybe 70 pixels. So then we close our A. Okay, so I'm going to copy this source. Okay, so based on what you are doing, the content you put at both sides, the left, the top, and the content. Okay, so I'll put a logo in the top. So you write your design in the appropriate divs. So the left, we can have our menus here. So if you have your menu, so we've done some basic menus already. How you make your menus using the LIs. So you can have home, for example. Then you can have maybe. So these can be links. So these can be links. Okay, then you can have another maybe logout. These are just examples. Then okay, so here will be the left, and we have our top over here. So when I refresh, okay, so that's our image and that is our menu. Okay, so we've done some basic menu, so you know how to start this one. So you remove the underline attributes. Then the A star, you make it none so that the dots disappear. But this tutorial is not for those things. Those things we've done them already, so you should be able to do them. You should be able to know how you can even put the divs inline so that they'll be inline to each other based on what you want to do. If you want to have a search button here, you know, last week we did input the search input. So then this one, just remove the dots, the bullets, and the underline of the text, then you can do the way you want it. Okay, so that's the solution for the last week assignment that you were given. So I'm going to scroll from the top so that you can see the code. You can see the code. So you compare that one to yours. So in the star, we have our left, and our left, the position is fixed. The top is 70 pixels. So you can guess the height, how you want it, how long you want it. So the height of your top, you decide. Okay, so if your height is this value, you make sure that the left, you leave the top that amount of space so that the top doesn't cover your left. So we have our position fixed, our top this amount, our left start from 0 because that's where it's, and we give it a width of 20%. And we have our bottom, we want it to go to the bottom, so 0 pixels, the background red in order for you to see the effect. So if white, you don't need these colors. I give them the colors so that you can see their boundaries. And if you want it to show the scroll when it's in case there are more content which has been hidden, then you write down over attributes. So the class, then the column, then hover. Then between the curly brackets, you put the attribute for the hover. So here we make it that when it overflow the wires, it should show the scroll bar. So this is the overflow Y, then scroll. Then this is our top. So our top, we start from 0, left is also 0, right is also 0. Then we give it a height of 70 pixels. That's the height we are leaving. Then we don't need the bottom because it's not going to extend to the bottom. And we give it a background of yellow just for you to see it. Then because we want the content when it overflows and it's scrolling, we want the content div to be below it, so we give it a z index of 1 because by default the z index is 0. So that take care of the overflow. If the content is being scrolled, so that the content doesn't overlap with the top div, it will go below it. Okay, so that's basically it. So these are we call our top first. Then because of the like I told you in the responsive design, when you remove the fixed position, they will be displayed based on the order you put first. And in the mobile device, you want the top to come first, followed by our menu, then the content follows. So we have to put them in that order, so that when we get rid of the fix, for the fix, it doesn't matter how you put it. So far as you said it should be placed at this position, it's going to be placed. But once you remove the position fix, then it's going to be in the order in which you put your code. So that's why we position them, so that when in the mobile device we remove the fixed aspect of it, then we can just put it there. But of course, in the mobile device, so if you decide that this one will be hidden, so maybe you put a menu icon over here, so it will be fixed, but it will be hidden. Display, like last week we saw that display none makes the hidden. So if you decide that you want it to be fixed for this side, so by it will be hidden at the start. So when the person clicks on the more icon, then it shows, then that one too is up to you. But when we get to responsive, designing a responsive site, we'll talk about all those things. But for now, that's it. Okay. So those of you may not have done yours, like I advise you to do it before you even start to watch my tutorial video. But of course, if you haven't done it, then I've done it for you. So we continue with 4 content. So what are we going to learn for week 4? So week 4 is basically adding slideshow to your site. So if you want to display slide on your site, how you are going to do that? So that's what we are going to do for the week. So we are on slider plugins. So if you want a sliding plugin, there are many of them on the internet. So you just Google. So if you go to Google and you just click HTML free slides, then you'll see a list of them. So you can download the one you want. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you an example as the simple one that I've been using for my project. And that one is similar to what is being used on the Kuulchat .com sliding image on the home page. So if you search HTML free slider, download. Okay. So there will be a list of them. So there will be a list of them. And some you have the whole slider you can use. So when you click on it, then there are some articles which people have written, show you all the links that you can use. So you can just follow the articles, then you can do the installation. Okay. But most of the installation follows the basic concepts. And these are the basic concepts. First, you download the plugin. Then most often it is zipped, so you unzip it. So when you unzip it, you will go to the CSS folder then you copy the necessary star sheet files into your CSS folder. So where you have your CSS files, you just copy it over there. Then most of them use JavaScript. So you also go and copy their JavaScript for the sliding. Then you also put it in your JavaScript folder. And some of them may also use images. So if the sliding use an images, if it uses images too, then you have to get the images also and put it in your image folder. So then once you've done that too, you can also check. I have an example HTML file. So you can open the example HTML file, then see how they implemented it. Sometimes they may call, you have to initialize your function for your sliding. So you have to use it in the script. So you have to check how those functions are called. Then you put it at the appropriate place where it's supposed to be called. Then, like I said too, when it has images file, you just have to get those images it's used and put it at the appropriate folders that it's supposed to be. So basically, you check their example file, then you can see how they've done this. Then you can do the same as yours by integrating into your website. But I'm going to demonstrate how you can use that of the one I've been using for my project. And that one is similar to the sliding you see on the Kuulchat website. It's just a sliding of images. So you use the Photoshop to design your images. And your images are supposed to be of the same height so that when they are being slid, one will not be taller than the other. So you can download the plugin, the slider plugin over here by clicking on the download. So when you click on the download, zip file will be downloaded for you. So you just extract that file. Okay. So I believe you know how to extract. So if you just click on it, the file will be extracted. Then you can have the source files. Okay. So once it's finished downloading, you just click on it, then you extract. So I don't know what operating system you are using, but if you are using Windows, then the extraction is just the same. So when you open the zip file, there is at the top, you will see extract. So you just click on extract, then you extract all the files. So once you extract the files, you can just open it to see how it is. Okay. So if I click on it, open it. Okay. So the file is supposed to be in the download file. So you open, it's supposed to be in the download folder. So the zip file, okay, so it gets something like this. So you just click on, then you click on extract. So once you click on the extract, then you just click on extract all. Then you just click on extract. Okay, so once you finish the extraction, it will open for you. So when it's open, you see the file. Okay, so that's the files. So we have our CSS. So it means you also go into your CSS, you copy these CSS files into your CSS folder in the project. So I'm going to follow the step by step as it's said on the website. So now I've extracted it. So which stage am I? So stage 2. So now let's download the file and extract. So I've done that. So stage 2. In your CSS, place the following files found in the CSS folder. So in your so I was working on my folder, the web design folder. If I'm using week 4, I'm going to create my CSS, my JS, and my images folder so that I can keep the files there. Okay. So my web design week 4. Okay, so I'm going to create my CSS folder. So like we started from the introduction that we have our CSS folder where all our style sheet goes. Then we have our JS where our JavaScript files goes. So here I'm going to create my JS folder where we put our JavaScript. And I'm going to create images folder where the images I'll be using for the site will go. So I'll have my images folder. Okay, so I'm going to follow the steps. So it says 1. In your CSS, place the following files found in the CSS folder. So in the CSS folder, so this is a slider folder. So I will double click on the CSS folder. It says I should copy these files. So I will copy them to my projects, the CSS of my project. Okay, so the CSS of my project. Then I've done that. So the next step, it says in your JS folder, so the JavaScript folder, place the following files found in the JS folder. So I open the JS folder in the slider folder, then I copy these JavaScript files. So I go to my JS folder. Okay. So I copy my JavaScript files in JavaScript folder. So here I go back to my JS folder. Okay, that's for my JavaScript. Okay, so after the JavaScript, in your images folder, so in the script, it uses some images for the arrows and the bullets for going next. So those ones, so we need those files. So when we open the images folder, there are arrows and bullet images. So we just also copy them to our images folder. So when we go to our images folder, so we can copy this one too. Okay, so in our images folder, so we have those images there. Okay, so now we've put all our files at the appropriate place. Now we need to refer to them. So in the head of your page, you refer to the file. So this we need a jQuery for our slide, which we put those files there. So we refer to our script. So our script, we have jQuery and the link slider, which are in the JS folder. So we refer to them. In our style sheets, we have the link slider.css and our sample star.css. So in the head of your lesson, if you put them at the appropriate places, if you put them in your JS, if you put the jQuery in your JS, if you put your link slider in your JS, you refer to it. If you put your link slider in your CSS, you refer to it, you put it. So wherever you put it, you should know the path and refer to them in the head. So I'm going to copy this into my, so I'm going to delete this one that we've done. So I'm going to start a new project. So I have the head, close the head, I have the body, close the body, then I have the HTML. Okay, so now I'm going to refer to those files. Okay, so that in the head I have this reference. Okay, So if I go to my JS folder, there is a file called jQuery.js. If I go to my JS folder, there is a file called linkslider.js. If I go to my CSS folder, there is a file called linkslider.css. If I go to my CSS folder, there is a file called samplestyles.css. So with this, we are almost good to go. So we continue with the instruction. So we are on step 6. Include the sliding divs in images where you wish to place the slideshow. Okay, so where you want to place your slideshow, you put this content. So this class is for the sliding show. So you begin with this class, followed by, so when you begin, you close it. Then followed by this class, which has the slides, all the sliding images. So when you begin, you close it. So the ID is slider. Now, each of the images, you put them in the class div of class slide 1. So if you're having 2 sliding images, this one will be this one, the same thing as this. The only difference is the source of your sliding image. So if your slides are in a folder called slides, okay, so as we've done in the previous week, you know how to show the source of a file. So here it's just like writing an image. So if you are going to use a link for the image, you just copy and paste your link over here. You just write your link. If it's a path to a sliding image, you just show the path. Okay. So here I'm going to copy their sliding images. So I don't need to have a new sliding image. So in the slider example, there is a slides over here. So I'm going to copy that folder which contains some slides already. I think the same slide which is on the Kuulchat website. So I'm going to copy and paste the slides over here. Okay, so I have those sliding images in my folder now. So I can use the same link to their sliding images since those images are in my slides folder. Okay, so we have 1 and 2. So that's what is being referred over here. So in the slides folder, I have an image 1. In the slides folder, I have an image 2. And the extension is JPEG. This one is also JPEG. It has a width of 100%. So like I said, make sure that your sliding images have the same height and that one slide will be longer than the other, so it will be showing. Okay, so now I copy and paste this one in my body, where if I want the slide to start first, so if I want the slide to start first, I'll just put it there. But if I have a menu here, then I'll write the menu first before the slide. Okay, so I'm going to put the sliding code over here. Okay, so this one is for the slide wrapper, then followed by the slide with the ID. Then inside it we have our slide images. So each of them will be in this folder. So if you have 5 of them, each of them will be here. Then your image comes. So you show the path of your image. So if you have 5 of your sliding image, you have 5 of this is the same class name. Okay, so you have that one there. Then here will show the sliding direction and the sliding control. Okay, so that's for the sliding part. So wherever you want your slide to show, that's where you put this from here up to that side. That's where you put the code. So if you divided your page into 2 sections and you want the slide to be at the left and the content at the right, then you put this slide at that content where you want the slide to be displayed. So what's the next step? So the next step is okay. So I've explained this once already. So the step 7, it says at the bottom of your closing tag of the body, add this script. So at the bottom of our closing tag, so when we close our body tag, we add this script at the bottom. So the closing tag for our body is over here. Okay, it's over here. Okay, remember it says at the bottom, so don't do anything otherwise. So over here, you put your script. So can put it. Okay, then you save it. Okay, so I think that is it. So I'm going to run it and see if it works. So since we are using the same file, I'm just going to refresh this one. Okay, So as you can see, it's sliding. Okay. So we have the arrows, which are the images which we put in the images folder. So when you click on it, the next one comes. Okay. So what you need to do is to design your sliding image. So you can use Photoshop or whatever photo design software that you are using. But make sure that the heights are the same and that you see one long and one shorter, which is not nice. So make sure that the heights are the same. Then you can have your display sliding images. Okay. So now we've done a little bit of menu. We've done other things as well. So now, like I said, in any other plugins that you download, they normally have an example. So you can open the example. So this is the slider from the Kuulchat. So you can as well open the example, then you can see how the slides are being used. So as you can see, this is the part where the slide is being used. So in other plugins too, you see the part where the slides are being used. Now in their JavaScript, you go there and you see how their JavaScript functions are being called. So you can as well maybe just copy the script and paste it in your page where you want the slide images to show. Then if you have the images intact, then once you load the page, the slide is going to show. Okay, so I believe you will use this plugin as time goes on and you acquire more experience. You can try other plugins as well. But now that you are acquiring the skill, you can be using the plugin I show you. Since that one I've indicated step by step how you can integrate it to your website. So you can be using this slider for a couple of maybe months or years. And as you get used to the coding of your HTML pages and more experience with JavaScript and the rest, you can be downloading other plugins and using as well. But you can as well try other plugins and see if you'll be able to integrate just for fun. But if you are having any challenge in integrating them, just stick to this one because this one is also a nice sliding this, and you have to design the image also to look cute. So once the image is cute, then the display text too, you can write the display text in the image as well. So you design a nice image, then you follow this step by step and including the slide, then you just be fine. Okay, so that's it for today. We are supposed to do slides, so that's the content for the slide. Now we'll do some few things. Last week I told you that we'll be doing. So we'll just do them. Then we'll use the entire knowledge we've done in week 1 up to 4 to design a page, which I'm going to show you that we design. Then that will be for the week. So we have env child. So the env child is, you know what a child is. So we have a parent and we have a child. So in the parent, a parent is the elements which come before the children. So if you have a div and you have certain elements inside, like a piece or your link or whatever element you have in that div, then the div is your parent and those elements are your children. Okay, so the env child indicate the position of that child. So if the child is the first one, if the child is the second one, if the child is the third one, the child is the fourth one, and so on. So that's what it means by the env child. Okay, so to write a particular attribute to affect that particular child, we write our style this way. So the element or the class where you want that env child to affect, so either a class or an element over here. Then you have our column. So we have our column here. Then we write this attribute env child. So this property env child. Then the end position is the position of your child. So the position of your child. If you want the first one, here is going to be 1. If you want the second one, here is going to be 2. If you want the third one, here is going to be 3, and so on. So in this example, for example, if I want the third paragraph to be red, and I could write the following lesson. So we have our P. So every P in our parent in our container, every P we have in our page, the third one, the third one is supposed to have a color of red. Remember, only the third one, not every third position. You come back to that one which repeats based on either even or odd. But this is the third, only the particular position. So the third P will have a red. So if I continue with this, later on we'll design a page. So I'm not going to change this one. The page we are going to design will include a slide. So we just modify our sliding page. But I'm going to include this demo. So if I write our star, so if you have our star, so in this head I'm going to include a star. So if you have our star, okay. So in our star, we said P, so the nth child of, let's start with 1. So it means that our first P will have the color of red. Okay, so our first P will have a color of red. It can be any element, but we are using our P for demo. It can be a class as well. So if you want a particular class, it can also be a class as well. Okay, so in this example, if I have my P, paragraph 1, okay, so I'm going to write other paragraphs as well. So up to maybe 4 or 5. So paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6. So paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6. Okay. So the style is okay. The style is M chart 1. Okay. What is happening to this? Let me take off the slide. Let me see. The slide is okay. So the slide is interfering with the chart. So then other than that, then I have to make it a div. So since that's not the first chart, okay. So let me put a class here. So maybe example div class example. Okay. So the parent is going to be example. So the children of the parent. Okay. So let's put dot example. So that's the parent. Okay. So every P of these parents, the first one of them. Let's see that one. Okay. So that one works. So because the other one, there are children in it, so it's not affecting it because that's not the first child. So the first child is the other element that's inside. Okay. So if you want to use for a particular class, then the parents, you write the parent class first. So you write the parents, the class, the parents, if it's a div or something. So if it's a class, the parent class will be here. Then the attribute that you want to write for the children inside it. Okay, but if you write it and you have any other elements, so in that case, that means the order will not be in the order where you indicate. Okay. Because in the coding, even if you don't specify P, the P tag, any other text are still in the paragraph. Okay. So you call the if I take this one off, then my first P is going to be that one. Okay. But if I have anything other there, then that's not my first P. So in this example, I'm using this example as my div. So in that case, I'll refer to the children in that div. So in that case, call that class. So that class, then the child, which is the P in that class, the first one. So if I change this one to 2 or 3, if I change it to 3, so the third P will have that and so on. Okay, so continue. So the third will have that background. Then we have the n child, which is even. So if you call n child of even, every even cycle. So we know even 2 is an even number, 4 is an even number, 6 is an even number in that order. So normally, if you want a table that you want a particular background, so if I call this one even, so every even paragraph will be having the color of red. So the second, the fourth, and sixth, so all the color of red. So second, fourth, and sixth. If I change this one to odd, then it's going to be in the order of odd. If I change it to odd and I refresh it, so my first, my 3, my 5 will all be, so 1 and the 3 and the 5 will all be the decimal. So based on what you want to do. So if you have a table and you want the TR of the even ones to have a particular color just to differentiate, so that when the person is reading through the table, the person can differentiate between them. Then you can as well use these attributes. So that one you can just call TR. So here we can have our TR. So you can have our TR. Okay. So each TR which is even. So if you decide to make it even, so each TR, the table, each TR which is even will have a color of red. So if you want it to have a color of maybe light gray, like we saw in our week 3, then it can also be that way. So here every even TR, so the second one will have a gray background, the fourth one, the sixth one, and so on. So in that case, we are going to write a table. Okay, so since that will be our first table, we can just write table. So we have table. So in our table, okay, then TR, TD, one column, row 1. So let's say row 1. Okay, so I'll do up to maybe 4 or 5 or something. So row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So in our lesson we said TR, the nth child of what? Even or odd? Did we make it even or odd? Okay. So nth child even. Okay. So even, it means this one will have a gray background. This one also have a gray background. This one also have a little bit gray background. So when we refer, okay. So that one, as you can see, it's a little bit gray. Okay. Okay, so you can see that they have different colors. So if I want it to have maybe red, so that you can see it clearer. So if I want it to have, so let me make it red so I see it clearer. Okay. Okay. Did I say color? Oh, sorry. I want, instead of background, I make it color. Okay, so I need the background, not color. So background. Okay, so let's make it background. Okay, let me keep this gray background. So let me refresh. Okay, so as you can see, this has a different backgrounds, all the even one. So if you make it odd, this one will have that background followed by this, followed by that. Okay, but let me make it red so that you can see it clearer. So if I make all the TRs to have this background. Okay, so you can see that all the TRs have that background. If I make it odd, so the odd will start from 1, 3, 5 and the rest. Okay, so based on what you are doing, then if the color will be a particular color which the black text will make it odd, you can change it to white. So you can change the color to white. Okay, so that it makes it a little bit nicer. Okay, so as you can see, I made it odd. So first, the third, the fifth, the seventh. So normally, if you are designing table and you want to differentiate in each row so that it become more clearer, then you can use the nth child with the cycle. So the nth child with even or odd. So with those ones, you just based on odd or even, then the property you write in your style sheet. Okay, so we've done this one, we've done that one. Okay, we've also done that one, we've done this one, we've done that one. Okay, then the last part is the cycle one. So the cycle one is the cycle. Maybe you want maybe every third cycle to have a particular attribute. Remember, so that one is not like even or odd, because if, for example, if I'm displaying like the Kuulchat, which I will explain in the Kuulchat.com site, where on the services or what the website is about, you can see there are some boxes over there. So in the box, if you have all of them, and you okay, so I'm going to reduce this one so it could show the actual. Okay. This example. Okay. So in their services, these are boxes. So these boxes are placed in line to each other. Now these ones have margin rights. Keep explaining the next one. This one has margin right, but for the last one, because there is no other box here, we need to clear that margin so that we can even have enough space to adjust to the width so that it matches it. Okay, so in this example, all third and third positions, we will give them margin of 0. So here is the third one, here will be 6. So in the cycle of 3, we'll give them that attribute. Okay, so in the cycle of 3, we'll give them that attribute. So that's what we use for that cycle. So if it's 4 elements you want to have, then the fourth, it will be in the fourth cycle. If it's the fifth one, then another. Okay, so you use this formula. So the square represent a cycle. So we have A represent a cycle. So if it's the third cycle of it, you put your 3 here. So it becomes 3n. If it's your fourth cycle, it becomes 4n. If it's your fifth cycle, it becomes your fifth. So based on each of the cycles, every number of cycle of them, then you put your value over there. Then if it's exactly a cycle, then this one will be 0. So you have plus 0. So for example, for the Kuulchat, if I want every third one to have a margin right of 0, then here is just going to be 3n plus 0. So here the counter will start at 0. So you start at 0. So in the B offset. So B offset, the B side is going to be 0. Okay, so if every third one you have 3n plus 0. So every fourth one you have 4n plus 0. Every fifth one 5n plus 0, and so on. Okay, so in this example, they have an item which is similar to the Kuulchat one. So these ones can be item. Normally, if you are displaying product, you have online shop and you are displaying product, we also use this kind of stars for them. So when you have a background which is not white, then the product will be in a white color. Then each of the last positions of them, you remove the margin right so that they will not have a margin right, then so that in their little space that you have for the margin, you can add it to the actual width that you have. Okay, so in this example, we have item. Last week we did display inline so that it display each other. And we have width of 32%. The margin bottom 20%, the margin right 20%, the background is white. Then we make it every nth child. So every third child will have a margin right, margin or right. So that's 2. Okay, so if I copy this code and I add it to what we have, so if I copy this one, so we've already done this one, so I'm going to take it off. Okay. So later on, we are going to modify this code to complete the task we have for this week project to work on. Okay. So I'm going to make the background color to be a little bit gray. So body will have a background color of gray. F5, F5, F5. Okay. Then I'm going to have my bullets here. Okay. So now, the priority session, we have 3 bullets here. So I'm going to write 3 here. You can have as many examples as you want, but I'm going to use this one. Later on, I'm going to have 6 of them. So just for demonstration, 6 items. So later on, we'll delete the 3 and just insert this value in order for us to view this practice session page. So in the items, I'm going to have 6. Okay, so I'm going to take off this one. Okay, so here I'm just going to write what we have here, what we do over there. So what we do. So this is just an example. So we can have what we do. Okay. Then I can have my div. Okay. So inside that div, I will call my item class. Okay. So my item, I'll just name them item 1 and item 2 and so on. Okay. So I'm going to have 6 or maybe 7 items. Okay. So this is my second item. This is my third item. This is my fourth item. This is my fifth item. This is my sixth item. This is my seventh item. Okay. So now I'm going to refresh our page. Okay. So as you can see the items. So if I put the debugging cursor on the third one, you can see that it doesn't have, you can see it has a margin, yellow. You can see some yellow boundary at the right, which means it has some margin at the right. But you can see that my third one doesn't have any margin at the right. The yellow doesn't cover the right side. The same with my 6. Okay, and so on. So if I have my 9th one, it will also have no margin right. So even if I click on them, you see that the margin rights have been disabled, have been cancelled out. So margin right 20 pixels have been cancelled out because of this. So 3n is affecting that one. So it's affecting, it's replacing, overriding this one with that one. So every 3 end position will have a margin right of 0. Okay, so that's it. So if the boxes we are doing is 4 boxes, then you need to do it 4th cycle. So if I make it the 4th cycle, in that case, maybe I can just increase this one by, or you are make it 2 cycle. So if I make it 2 cycle, then I increase the width of my box. So if I make it 2 cycle, so I can have my 2 end over here. Okay. So as you can see, if the formula here is 0, you can ignore it, so it becomes only cycle. But if in your formula, the ones you want to affect is there will be a figure here. So for example, if you write +1 here, and the second cycle, if n is 2, then if you write 2n here and the other one here, so based on the cycle and the total result that you get, and the one that is going to be affected. But basically, if you are writing a cycle, just 2n then +0, or you can take the 0 off. It's still the same. So if I refresh this one, the margin right is only going to be affecting the second child. So every second child. So as you can see, the margin right of this one goes away. Margin right of that one, the 4th one, the 6th one goes away. So now I'm going to increase the width of my item so that it should be only for 2 items at a go. So I can be increasing it until when it's the second one drop to the least, I know that I've gone to my maximum width. Okay, so as you can see, I've gone to my maximum width. So now I can go inside and adjust it that my width for my item is 49. Okay, so based on the dimension you want, for your inline divs, and so if it's 2 items in there, then your position is going to be 2, and if it's 3, your position is going to be 3, and then you move the margin right. Then you adjust the width until you see that the last one dropped, then you know that that's the maximum you can reach. So you just go to your CSS and adjust them. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to 3. When it was 3, I think our percentage was 32. Okay, then now we are going to design our page, this page. So that's the task for this week. So we are going to design a page that looks like this, and you will be given the resources. So this one we already have it when we did the sliding. So I already have this one. So I'm going to design that for the menu. Then I'll include these images, and here. Last week we did how to use a background image. Okay, so last week how to include a background image of a div or a container. So we are going to apply that knowledge so that we have a background image for the footer. So in the footer we have a background image, then we'll put the content inside. Then these images have been given as a resource, so we are going to save them to our project. So this is a logo. So here I'm going to save it in my images folder. Okay, so desktop web design images. Okay, so I have logo, image, and have message. Okay, so that one, so I save, and I have this image. So I save that one too, and I have this image. and I see. Browser has frozen. Okay, so that's for the footer. Okay, so that's okay. Now we are not giving the color code for our. Okay, so I forgot to give you the color code for the header. So this example, as well as you, but if I update the content and I'll put the color code there, then you can use. But let's assume it is orange or yellow, then we just use a color for it. So I'm going to use any color over here. And like I advise that if you use Photoshop, if you have a company website you have to develop, and maybe the company has a dominant color they use, you can pick the color from Photoshop. So when you go to the text and you click on the text, the color picker, picker will show them in the ink lesson. When you click on any side of the color, it will show you the color code, then you can use in your coding. So here I'm just going to use maybe, let's say, any color, but the concept is going to be the same. So we have logo, we have home, we have about us, we have our services, we have contact. Okay, so I'm going to make this one a different div on its own, and the menu a different div on its own, and they are going to be inline to each other. So I have this div which will be inline to each other. So this div I'm going to call it logo box, and this div I'm going to call it menu box. Okay, and I'll make them inline to each other and vertical align to the top so that they will all be top to each other. Then I'm going to style it based on how they will look. And the list in my menu too, I'm going to style it so that they'll have enough spaces around each other. And as you know, there are no bullets on the list, so I'll give a list style to be none so that there won't be any bullet on the menu. Okay, so that's what I'll do first. Then later on, I'll come to here. So I'm going to delete the item that we did, the remaining one. I'll leave only 3 there so we can modify them and suit this one. Okay, so in the code where we have up to, okay, so I'm going to delete and leave only up to 3. So just modify that code to the services. Okay, so now I'm going to write the staff our menu. So we have logo box. Okay, so logo box. The display is inline. So I have display. So last week we did display. So inline block. Okay, in vertical align stop. Okay, then later on I'll do the padding, but I'll use the Mozilla so I can see how I need to pad it. Then I'll have one for the logo box, a menu box. So I'll call the menu box. That's where I'll put my menu. That one is also going to be displayed in line next to each other in vertical align top. Okay, so now I'm going to create our menu. So our menu, so we have ur.menu. Okay, so our menu our list style is going to be none, so there won't be any bullets. So list style. So we've done all this in our previous week. So list style is none. Okay. Then our ul.menu. Okay. We have li by default are vertical, so you have to make them display inline so that they'll be inline to each other. All our li. So display inline block. Okay. Now we will make it that our li, their links will have some padding. Okay. Now in order for us to padding all the boundaries, we need to give it a display block. So our links will have display block. Then we can give all the padding. So our left and right will give them a bigger width, and then our top and bottom will give them a little pixels. So I'll make the top one 5 pixels. So as I've already told you, the memory on all the 4 corners, it start from the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. Okay, so my top, I want it to have 5 pixels. In my right, I want it to have 10 pixels. In my bottom, I want it to have 5 pixels. In my left, I want it to have 10 pixels. Okay. Okay. So now my top, where I have this one, is going to be top. And I think it says that it's supposed to be fixed if I'm right. But if it doesn't say so, then you can leave it. But if it says it's supposed to be fixed, after all, please design your page first before referring to. After all, you have already implemented after the following. Okay. So it is specified that our top is supposed to be fixed. Okay. But since we've learned fixed today, I'm going to make it fixed. Okay. So in the example code, okay, the header was, so the top was fixed. So let me also make it, so I make it fixed. Okay, so I can call it top or header or however you want to call it. So I will call it top. I'm going to give it a color of blue. Okay, so it's going to have a color of blue. So background is going to be blue. Okay, the position is going to be fixed. Okay, so you give it a position fix. If you give it a position fix, then your left 0, since you want it to cover the entire distance, so left 0, right 0, top 0, and you can give it a height. So let me give it a height of, let's say, 40 pixels. Okay. Now, like I explained last week, when you are using a fix and you have to have another div that will push it a little bit downward so that it doesn't cover the other part. Okay, so if you don't want it to cover the other part, in this case it will cover our menu, because after our top we have the menu. So if you don't want it to cover the menu, then you need another div that will push the other ones to the bottom so that the top will only cover that div. But I'll leave it, and when we do it and I show you, then I'll come and modify the code so that you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so now I think we have all the classes. So we have our top header where we put our menus and our logo inside. Then we have our logo box, which we've given a display inline block. So the logo box and the menu box are going to be inline to each other. Then we did a vertical align top so that they all start at the top, so that one will not be at the bottom while the other one is at the top. Then we make our menu. Our menu, we give it a class called menu. So we make that URL to have a list and none so that there won't be any bullets around it. Then by default, the li of the list are vertical to each other. So you have to make them inline blocks so that they will be next to each other. Then we want to have spaces around the link on our menu. So you need to give the display block so that you can give it the padding, certain aspect of your padding. So you can padding it well. And in the padding, we said top is the first one, followed by the right, followed by the bottom, then followed by the left. Okay, so our top is within 5 pixels, our right we win 10 pixels, our bottom within 5 pixels, and our left is within 10 pixels. Then we have our top, which is fixed. Then we have this bullet, those items we've already written. Later on, we can change it. Okay, so before our slide comes, is our header. So we created a class. We said the class is what, top. Okay, so we are calling that class here. Then we close the div. So I'm going to refresh the page so you can see the effect of link that over there. Okay, so as you can see, that is it. Now our slide has covered that one because the slide has, I think, higher Z index than that one. So we'll make that one have the top have Z index of 1. So Z index of 1. And let's see if it goes okay. So that one has covered. So just like we did in the example, the beginning one. So we have a Z index of 1, so that one rather cover the slide. So I'm going to add Z index of 1. Okay. So we have a Z index of our top 1. So after that, okay. So as you can see, this thing has covered our slide. You can see the part of the head of this guy has been cut because our slide is under our top. So we need a div that will push the slide to the bottom. So we'll create a different div, we'll give it a height which is the same height as our top div. So that one rather go below our top. Then it will push this one downward. So I'm going to call that one the class. I'm going to give it a class called push. So we have push, which will have a height of 40 pixels. So the same height as my top div. So height 40 pixels. Okay. So I'm going to call it below my top. So that one rather come below. So the top will rather overlap with that one. And the slide, okay, since I don't have anything inside, I can just close it over here. Okay. So now, because this one is fixed, this one will go under it. Okay, and since they have the same height, once it overlap that one, then the other one will just follow. So that one will free my next div, which is my slide. Okay, so I call it. You can see that. Okay, push it. Okay, but the space is a little bit more, so I'm going to reduce that push because it has left a gap over here. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the height. I'm going to do it on the browser so that I will know where I need to end it. So I'm going to reduce the height a little bit. Okay, as you can see, it's pulling. So I'll do that until, okay, so that will be 33. So I'll give it 33. Now, by default, the paragraph and the body has padding and margins around each other. In your UL, they all have margins around each other. So you need to give all of them margin 0 and padding 0 so that they all not have any margin and padding. So anytime, so here push the height supposed to 33. Okay, so anytime you start your page, you need to write that line of code. So all your elements, you have to give them margin. So our body, our P, our div, our UL, and the rest, they all have padding 0 and margin 0. As you can see, there's a margin here. Okay, there's a padding over here. So our B, this one is fixed, so that one you can't see it. But if it's not fixed, you see that there will be a padding around the body. Okay, so we don't want any margin or padding around any of our P's and the rest. So we just give them both margin and padding 0. So padding 0 pixels. Now margin 0 pixel. Okay, so now refresh it. You see, okay, so now you see that there's like that the beginning end. So there's no space around them. Okay, so now that's the heading, and that is our slide. Okay, now we don't want our content to start right over here. Okay, so we'll create a container which will may start somewhere over here. Then we did how to center a div in the middle. I think that was some time ago. So I'm going to create a class. I'm going to call it container. So that one will have 1,200 pixels. So that one will center our content and leave a margin at the left and the right for both our top heading and our content of our page. So I'm going to create class container. Okay, so it has a width of 1,200 pixels, and we saw how you make a page center to the center. You give a margin left auto and margin right auto. Okay, so that will make it center to your screen. So here in my div, the content of my container, I want them to be in the container div, so that I centered and leave a margin leave some margin at the left and at the right. So I call my container div here. Okay, so inside my container div, I have the logo box and my menu box. So I have a div called class logo box. So this is where I'm going to put my logo. Okay, then I have a class I'm going to call menu box. Okay, so this is where I'm going to put my menu. I'm going to write my menu. Okay, so now our logo should be a ref. So you should give a link to our logo image, so that when the person clicks on it, it takes the person to the home page. Okay, so we can give it a width of maybe 50 pixels. We can adjust it. So when we use our Mozilla, and we need to adjust it a little bit. So our logo is in the images folder. So images/logo.png. Okay, so this is for our logo. It's going to have a link. So based on your own page, you just put the link over here, so that when the logo is clicked, it takes the person to the home page. Okay, so later on we know how much to padding our logo, so that it make it a little bit nice. So later on we'll click on this area, then we'll use our Mozilla to give the padding based on the way it suits. Then we can go to our CSS and make the changes over there. Okay, so our menu box, this is where we write our menu. So we have our URL. We said the class is called menu. Okay, so that's our URL. Then the URL, we have our li. In our li, we have our ref. Okay, so you put your link here. So here we have home. Okay, then we have about us, our services and contact us. So basically that's what we have. So about us, our services and contact us. Okay. So the website you are designing, if you need more, you just add the li, the list menus over there. Okay, so this is an example. So, but I didn't give color to my link. So by default, colors for the browsers are blue. So you see that I have a blue color. So I need to go and give them a color and remove and remove my underline. So by default, two links are underlined, so I need to remove the underline. So as you can see, they are underlined and they have a blue color. So I have to give my link on the menu a color of white and remove the underline. And then you can see that this one is too big, so I will adjust it. So if I click on, it's already clicked. So if I click on the menu, so I can adjust it over here. So I can change the width a little bit. So let me make it maybe 30 or so. Okay. So once you are done, you click it, it will adjust. Okay. So it has adjusted. So we need to give the menu, the logo box a little padding so that it pushes a little bit downward. So in the menu box, I'm going to give top padding. So I can give it a top padding top. So padding top of maybe 10 pixels. Okay. Padding top. Okay. So 10 pixels seems too much. So I reduce it a little bit until I'm satisfied with it. Okay. So this one is 3 pixels. So I'll keep 3 pixels. Then it seems like my link to, I need to push them a little bit. So I click on one of the links of the LI. So other than that, then I can padding my, okay, so I can rather padding my URL a little bit. So I can give it a padding of maybe top padding. So I push it at the top. So top padding of maybe 10 pixels. Okay, but it seems like, so I'll reduce it a little bit. So the top padding can be 5. Okay, so I'll give my LI top padding 5 and that of the logo 3 as you see. So here my logo will have a top padding, so there will be a little space from the top. So it was 3 pixels, and the menu box to the URL our place to have padding top also 5 pixels. Okay. Now our link to their color is supposed to be white. So color is supposed to be white. So you know the white color code, or you just write what's white there. And it should test the creation now, so that there won't be no. So but we can make it general. So that doesn't really affect this one, but it will affect all our links. So we make it general, that's A, then test the creation now. So A, test the creation now. Okay, so that's it. So I'll refresh it and you see how it looks like. Okay. Sorry, I haven't changed the logo size. We changed logo, we made it to 33 also. So we reduce it to 33 if I'm right. Okay. So we have we have our logo, we have home, about us, our services, contact us. So we are done with the top. So now, so in the subsequent weeks, when we are talking about menu, we will also talk about the sub menus. That one we will focus on menu. So we do sub menus so that when there are sub menus, you click on the menu, the sub will show. This at our level, we are only going to do only one row of the menu. So if you are developing the website where these are the only menus you have, by now you should be able to even have clients where you're developing website for. Okay, so we have logo. So this logo, when it's clicked, suppose you take the person to home. The same with this one, home page. Then we have our test page, then we have our services page, then we have our contact us page. Okay, so now we are done with the top. Now, like you see, it is fixed. So the top is fixed. So if you are scrolling, it just fixed over there. and we are left with about what we do. So these ones are also going to be in the container. So you can see that it's starting at the beginning. We want it to be centered like this one. So we call our container class so that it will also be centered with the same dimension as this one. So in this one, we put this and that ones in our container div. So over here, where we start with what we do, it will be in our container div. So div class is equal to container. Okay. So all these ones will be in our container div. So okay, I think we left last week. Did we do last chart? Okay, you want to do. Let's see if there was a last chart and I left it. I think last time we did last chart. Yes. Last week we did last chart when we were doing the drop down for the list for the search results. So by now you should know what the last chart is. So we've done the end chart already. Today we did the end chart. Okay. So we've put these ones in our container div, which centers our that content. So if we refresh, you see that it has been pulled from here to the center. Okay, so as it has been pulled. Okay, so now it's too close to our slide, so we give the margin top of maybe somewhere 30 or okay, so we can style it online. So we can style it in line. So we can have style equal to margin top maybe 50 pixels. Okay, so we just refresh. Okay, so our what we do, I think it is a heading. So that one we use the H instead of a paragraph. We are going to use the H for it. So I think it's bold, so it's a heading. So we use the H. So you either use the H1 or H2 based on what you want. Okay, so that's the last chart. Okay, so we didn't do the last chart, but last week we did it, so I think by now it should be okay. So the last chart is the last element which is being referred to. So if like the paragraph, the example that we did, if you have last chart, so the last paragraph will have this color. So that's the difference between the last chart and the chart. So last week we even saw an example when we were listing our result from the search. Then we don't want bottom the border bottom for the last one, so we call the last chart example. Okay, so where are we? So we are now here. So here we are going to use H. So we can use H1 for it so that it will be bold. So by default, H are bold. So we use H1. If it's too big, then we can use H2. So that will be H1. Okay, so I'm going to refresh. Okay, so as you can see, it is bold. Okay, so that's it. That's for what we do over here. So now we are going to fill in the content our items. So we've seen how these stars were written already, so we don't need to explain to you because we've already done that. All these ones are inline and they have a margin right of 20, a margin bottom of 20. For every third cycle, we use a margin right of 0. We've done this already. So I'm going to put the content inside here, but in the descent we have the heading. So I'm going to call a class item heading. Okay, or item, then I call a class called heading. So here the font weight, we did font weight 2. We are going to make it bold, and we are going to center it. Then the image, we are going to give it 100%. Then we give the height a reasonable height. Now, if the heights are not specified and the images have different heights, then you see that your items will not be of the same, your box will not be of the same height. Okay, so like I have been saying, say is believing. I'm going to write a class called heading. So in that class, we are going to center our heading for our items. We are going to center it and the font is going to be bold. Then our width of our images are going to be 100%. So we are going to style our item. So in the item class, we'll modify it a little bit. So item Okay, then dot a class called heading. So this is where we put our heading of our this here. So that div is going to have text align center. So we are going to center the text, and the font weight is bold. So font weight is bold. Okay, then you can padding it a little bit so that it doesn't start right at the top. So padding 10 pixels. Okay, so this will center our headings in our item container. Now the image in our item. So item. Okay, so like I've been saying, the parent one comes first. So this is a div called item, and the image in it. So the image in the item div will have a width of 100%. We have width of 100%. I'm not going to give the height just to show you that if they are different heights, the dimensions of the images are not the same, then you can see that the items box will be of different heights. Okay, so here in this item divs, we have our div for the heading. So we have a div inside. So we use the class heading. Okay, in our heading, the first one, I think, secretarial works. So we have secretarial works. Okay, and the image for the secretarial, the image is in images, and I think the name of the image is typing. It's JPG. Okay, we don't need to specify the width because we're waiting in the CS, the star that is 100%. Okay, let me just verify the image and see this. Okay, so typing. If you are not sure of the properties, JPG, so you can right click and check the property. Okay, it's JPG. Okay, and our computer training. Let's see the properties. That one is also JPG in our web design. Okay, our web design is PNG. Okay, in our footer, is also JPG. Okay, so now, so it's in .jpg. Then our second one was what? Computer training. So web design. Okay, so the heading. So the heading div class is equal to heading. Okay, so web design. That's the end of our div. Then the image is equal to web design. Is it PNG? I'm not sure about this. I don't know which one was the PNG. So anyway, if it doesn't teach you tell, then I change it. Then our third one was computer training. So we have heading div class is equal to heading. So computer training. Okay, that one, the image, we have images, in computer training, .jpg. Okay, like I said, we don't need the width because written it already in the CSS. Okay, so I'm going to run this and let's see how it will show. Okay, okay, so as you can see here, that they are not of the same height. So one is at the top, one is at the bottom. And this one, so we need to give the item vertical align top so that they all be at the top. So item, we need to give it a vertical align top too, so that they all be start at the top. Okay, so that they all be at the top. Now, since this and this are not of the same height, then you need to force the height of your image so that they all be of the same height. Okay, but if it's not dynamic and you are designing, then you can make the images have the same height. So far as the images have the same height, the boxes are also going to be the same, because the text will be if the text will be longer than the overflow, then you need to give this side also a height so that everything will be of the same value. So here, if you don't know the length of your text and it will overflow, then you need to give the heading also a height so that it doesn't go beyond that. Then the image, so you need to give it a height so that they all be of the same height. Okay, but based on if you are designing the image, then you can design all of them to have the same height and width. So if the images are the same, then you don't need to specify the height of the image. But if you don't know if they are going to be the same or not, then you need to give them the same height so that they will all be of the same this. Then even the text, if you don't know how much text are going to be inside, it will be better for you to give the heading part height so that it will not go beyond that height, so that even if there is the text overflow, it will be hidden. It will not affect the height of your box. So I'm going to give these images a height of maybe, I'm going to adjust this one so that I'll say it meets this height. Then I'll put it as the general height for the image on the item. Okay, so if I click on this, it's supposed to give me the class for the image. So as it says width of 100%, I'm going to give it a height. So I will adjust the height until no, let me first of all do it on the element itself. Okay, so I want to do it, if I do it here to affect all the class, so I want to do it here, so it's supposed to be on the element itself. So height, let's say 150 for now. Okay, so I'll adjust it until it matches all of them. Then I'll make them all of them have the same height. But you can see that it is also distorting this one too, so it should be reasonable so that the images will not be distorted that much. So I'll give it 200, so they all have a height of 200. And let's see if they are not distorted that much. Okay, so if I give all of them height of 200, let's see how they will look. So height 200 pixels. Okay, so if the way they look is okay for you, you can keep it that way. But if it's not, then you just adjust them. So I'm going to disable this part. So they all have, so let's say 220. Okay, so let me keep it 220. So my images will have a height 220. So the item and the image. So as I told you, parent, which is the class, and the element in it, which is the image. So it will have a height of 220 pixels. So all the images in the item and div class are going to have that height. Okay, so we've done this part. So we are left with the footer. So this part has been done. So in the footer it's a background image. Okay, so it's a background image. So last time we know how to the attribute for a background image is just a background, then dash the image. Then you specify the URL of the image where the image can be found. Okay, so here Then you can give it a height. Other than that, it will. So here I'm going to create a class. I'm going to call footer. So footer. So the footer has a background image. So background image. Okay. So the URL of our background image is in the images folder. So we have images slash footer bgn dot jpg. Okay. Then we want it to have a height of, let's start with maybe 200 pixels. 200 pixels. Okay. So now we will call our footer. Maybe let's leave some space at the top of the footer. So we leave margin top maybe 50 pixels. Margin top 50 pixels. Okay. So after our content follows our footer. So here after here our footer did follow. So class is called footer. Okay. So we end our footer class. We put in our content. So I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so that's our footer. So as you can see, the image is bigger than the size of the descent, so we are not seeing the other parts. So like we saw in the last week, if you want to make an image a cover page, a cover image, then you use the attachment type, you make it fixed. Okay, so the attachment type, you make it fixed. Then so you have this, we've done that. So now you need this one, background attachment is going to be fixed. Then we need background size. So background size, if you want it to be 100%, then that one is going to stretch your image, but to cover the main part, then that one is up to you. But okay, so in that case, let's use the background attachment in this example. So you have attachment to be fixed. So we have attachment to be fixed. It's going to be 100%, 100%. That one is the spread, using the stretch type. Okay. So if you use a stretch type, so it's going to spread the image. So that one, we use it this way. So it's going to be 100%, 100%. You can try the cover, but cover one and see how it's going to be like this. This is, so now we put the content of our footer. So it's going to also going to be inline. So where we have our connect refers and we have our contact text. So we can have our div. We can create a class we are going to call inline. Okay, so each of them will be inline to each other. So we give them a width of maybe 32%. So 32% for each of them. So this one, the heading is going to be links. So we put the links here. Okay, so we have links. Then here, the heading is going to be contact us H4. So connect with us. So we put our social network below these ones. But we haven't done the icon yet. So I think next week we will do the icon when we are doing the menus. So here we contact us. So when we do the icons, we put those details over there. So we have the icon for the phone, we have the icon for Facebook and 2 with the rest. So that one will do next week, then we'll complete this code for next week. So next week, we'll just modify this page. So in the next week, we'll just be changing the menus at the top. So just be changed. So when we learn the menu concept, we'll come and change them. So here we've done the single menu. If we have some menus, we just change them, then we run them, we see the effect. And so first we'll do the icon. Now you can integrate font or some icons in your pages. So once we've done that, we will come and complete our contact S and the other ones, the home page and all the other ones that we need to have. Okay. So here too, I can have our link. So URL. Okay. So the URL I can have the LI, which will have our home page. So you can have home over here. You can have about us as well. The footer as well. Okay. So the rest, when we do our icons, we'll talk about them. And we have to write this class, the inline block, which will display them in the inline. So write our inline. So it's just display inline. Okay. So that class is just to put them inline to each other. And we have to do the vertical align so that we all start from the top. So display inline block. Vertical align top. Okay. So and our footer, we want it to have a color of white. So everything inside will have a color of white. White we know is 6F. Okay. Then what is okay? Then our footer, the URL in our footer, we want it to have a margin top of maybe 20 pixels, so that it separates itself from there. Okay. So if I refresh, okay. So now, as you can see, okay, the A2 we need to give the color of white, the A in the footer. And as you can see, it is beginning at the beginning of our page. So we need to put that one also in the container so that it will be centered there. So all our links are in our footer. We want them to have a color of white. So we have the class, the parent class, and the elements we want to style it. So we want it to have a color of white. Okay. Now we want the footer content to be centered. So we have to put them in our container class so that they all be centered the same dimension as our top and our content. So here we have the class is equal to container. Okay. Then we close our class. Okay, so we run it. Okay, so as you can see, now we need to make this one list star now, the LI, because it's showing the bullet. If you want the bullet to it to look right, if you don't want the bullet to get rid of the bullet by giving a list star to the man. So I'm going to do the list star now. So our URL, okay, so this is our URL, so list star. Okay, so I refresh it. Okay, so at least level, you should be able to design a nice page for a client and start making some money for your pocket. We are only left with the contact us where we'll have a form so that the people can fill in that form and send to the clients. So once we are done with that, then you should be able to design nice page and start making money. So now here to our A, we can style it a little bit so that there will be space between them. So in the A, we can give them a display block. Then we give the padding. So maybe the top can be 5 pixels. For the left and right, we don't need the padding for them. So that one we have 0 pixels. Then bottom 5 pixels. Then right 0 pixels. We don't need. We only need for the top and the bottom. We separate each other from it. This one's from the top, but here is okay. If it begins with this line, it's okay. Okay, so as you can see, there are spaces between them now. Okay, so basically that's it. So I'm going to check if we've done everything as the assignments want us to do. Okay, so if your background image, it may repeat, then you just write repeat, no repeat. Okay, so I think we've done that. Then your footer, if you want to padding it so that it doesn't begin at the starting point, then you can padding it. So as you can see, the text began over here. So if you want to padding it, so you can padding it as you want. Because we are by default the H, they all have margin around it. So that's why you are seeing some space there. But if you make margin 0 for H, then they are going to start from here. So you need to padding your footer so that it will start from where there will be a little space when you padding your footer. Okay, so basically that's it for today. So from today onward, we should be able to design nice page. Next week, when we do the menu, so in case you have a client who wants a sub menu for the pages you are developing, then that we are going to do it next week. Then in our pages, we also need icons. So we will see how you can integrate font or some icon to your page. So like the contact us, you have an icon for phone. Then you write the phone number there. Then for email address, you write an icon for email address, you write the email there. Then you have an icon for the location, then you write the location there. Then the connect with us, you have an icon for Facebook, then you put the link over there. Then you have an icon for YouTube, then you put the link there. Then you have an icon for Instagram, then you put the link there. In that order. Okay. So basically that's it for today. I'll scroll through the content and see if I've left something over, I've left something, then we can just discuss it. Other than that, then that was it for the day. So that's a page example for what I've taught. So if you want the code similar to what I've done, then you can just go through that code. But you should, like I advise, you should do it before you compare with mine. So that if you're having challenge, then you can see where you were wrong. And the next time you don't do the same. Yes. Okay, so this one also has a copyright. Okay, so if you want to have the copyright below it, then you can also style it. So this is just a centered text with the copyright symbol or text. So if you go through the code, you have your copyright here over there. Okay, so this is a copyright. So end and copy with the semicolon is the copyright. Copyright class is just center the text and give it maybe a margin top so that it separates itself from the other one. I just center it, but this is the copyright icon. End, then copy, then semicolon. So these are parts that gives it the copyright. Okay, so we've done a chart. We've done the last chart I will already I've even explained to you. We did the last week. So the last chart is the last chart. Instead of your nth chart, we have the last chart for the last element. So whatever you put in the last attributes for whatever, if it's P, if it's a class or the last one, is what is going to be affected. Then we've seen the nth chart for even, an nth chart for odd, then the nth chart for a particular position. We've seen all of them. So the attribute you put in that CSS will affect that position you want. If it's a cycle one, that one we use a formula. If it's position, you just indicate the position over there. So if it's a class, just a class name, then the column, then the M chart, and the position over there. Okay. Then we saw how to integrate slider in your slider plugin in your page. Then today too, I've explained how to do the YouTube assignment for last week. Okay, so that's it for today. So as you know, Kuulchat.com is supported by a voluntary donation. So as you are enjoying the course and you are being given practical knowledge, and in order for you always when you come here, you have instructors that you can even send them problems you are facing, and they will help you to resolve them. You should know that your support is what will be used to keep them on the site. So remember, once you are enjoying the site, you are at liberty to make voluntary donation to keep the site as well as the instructors going, so that you can always have this wonderful privilege as well. So to make donation, you just click on donate, and also remember to subscribe our YouTube channel so that whenever we post any video, you can get a notification and come in and check the tutorials as well. And remember also to refer to your friends about this site. So to refer to your friends, you click on share. So when you click on share, you have the YouTube, the WhatsApp. So when you click here, it will show you the WhatsApp. It will open the WhatsApp application. Then if you have the WhatsApp application installed on your computer or on your phone, then you can select those that you want to share with. So if you want to share in a group, you can just share. Okay, so it's not only programming courses that we teach here. We teach general courses like office tools, how to use a computer, and the rest. And there are also past questions for students to also solve. So if you have junior brothers and sisters in the primary, especially the GHS and the SHS too, you can also share with them so that they can visit the site and learn as well. So if you want to share with Facebook, you just click on it. If you want to share with Twitter, you just do that. So I believe you'll be doing all this to keep the site more vibrant, popular, and also your donations are always welcome. As usual, if you want to contact me, you click on the home page. Then once you log in, there is chat with an instructor. So you just click on chat with an instructor. So in the chat box, there's possibility to even share your HTML page with me. So you can just share it with me. I'll go through your code, then tell me what the problem is. Then I know where you might be getting the problem. Then I can help you. That's the motive of this website, to help you guys to get more practical knowledge. So most of our courses are more practical based, not like theory, what is this, then you just choose and just recite. No, it's more practical knowledge. Okay, but enjoy the rest of the day. But next week you'll have a wonderful time as well. So now week 5, we talk about menus like I told you. So you see how you can have now we've already done menus, but you see how you can do sub menus, so that when I hover on the menu, another menu shows up, then I can click on it. Then we also see how you can include some icons on your page to make it a little bit more fun. So you don't need to use images icon as well. Okay, so enjoy the rest of the week and have a lovely day. Bye.